It is recording, by the way. Never mind. Never. That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. So, let's get back to our business. So, um, I had this student who comes to me and
Recording in progress.
some previous professors just told them that they are bad, that they are not working hard enough. I always call them grumpy students, but they are actually victims of these bad strategies. So it may be due to previous non-professional strategy in teaching. Itself is actually lagging behind. Um, Kind number two, students at the retrograde student, which can actually stem from non-professional academic course material. The material itself is lagging behind, is old, is archaic, is repeated. You know that it's very costly to print a university book every single semester in order to give or to teach this course, and that's why I always depend on PPT files, on AI files, on I'm not depending on any books because if I'm going to print this book every single semester, this will be very costly. It will be highly expensive. And it can't be developed. It can't be uploaded or updated, and it's very a negative point on our hand. Uh, Student number three, which is my favorite as well, is the first timer. The first time student, he has no previous experience or feedback on any material or any instructor or professor. So actually, I love this one because it's like a raw material that I can shape, I can formulate the way that I want. And the least student is the high achieving students. Actually, if we have been developed or updated or taught well in the previous years, actually, the students will be the majority of our students. But actually, he is loving, caring, proactive, and with students, which makes them very few in our classes. And our goal is to make all of our students like between the first timer students because they are proactive and they are enthusiastic and everything, and the high achieving students. So we want to get rid of the grumpy students and also the retrograde students in order to move back to the first time student and also the highly achieving students. So we've been discussing the old more into the new school or the good guy school. So I really have a very important quote here from Department of Education in the Victoria state government. It says that the most effective way to teach a vocabulary is to show how new words relate to other words, ones that the students already know. So I'm going to give you examples right now, but it's very important to explicitly teach the relationships between words. And you do remember how we were taught a vocabulary, like for example, a word like infrastructure. So in bilingual classes, but actually you can speak Arabic or English or vice versa interchangeably because actually you are translating. But in our translation and the interpreting classes, we were like using a word like infrastructure, as I told you. So infrastructure in Arabic means البنية التحتية, but actually when we want to memorize these words, it was like infrastructure البنية التحتية, infrastructure البنية التحتية. We keep repeating the same expression, the same word. And so we have two main problems here. Number one is that drilling is a very archaic and a very teaching bilingual courses. And number two, you will forget. Actually, you are memorizing only words, not phrases, not compounds, not phrasal verbs, not collocations. You are just using words, a lot of words, maybe hundreds or thousands of words, and the next very day you can, or the same day you can actually forget the words that you have been learning for several hours, by the way. So in order to teach a word or an expression, you can use its variables. For example, I have a very common example here, which is the word gate. So gate in Arabic it means bawaba. However, in this example, I would like to have my students learning and eliciting the meaning of the word get when it's a suffix. when it's a suffix. So we have different formulas of the word get when it's a suffix. So it's not bawaba anymore. It's a scandal when it's preceded by Watergate. So you know Watergate. It's a scandal in America. Iran Gate, Sherry Gate, Monica Gate, Party Gate, Close Gate, Slab Gate, or either Pandora Gate. So how many words did you knew as new words from the word get? So you're not only learning the meaning of get. Actually, you have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. You have new eight words, new eight expressions, new eight experiences that you will get no information from only one word. So you do not have to give such words. Just people just go and memorize a lot of words, and then next time I'll have you memorizing, and I'll give you a quiz on these words. Actually, this is nothing. It's archaic. So when you tell your students to put more effort on this in order to elicit words, to get more expressions from the stem word. And when you turn the stem word or the stem into a suffix, so get is not here a stem, it's a suffix. So we have like eight words extra here. So I think this is a very nice way in order to add certain vocabs to your bank of vocab, which needs to be huge actually when you are an EFL learner. When you learn translation and interpreting, actually you need like 8,000 new words in order to be intermediate between intermediate and upper intermediate. So how can you reach this big amount of words from this strategy? So you can turn a stem. You can turn a stem into a suffix, and then you can actually get new words. And actually it works on the other way around, when you can turn a suffix into a stem, and then you can elicit the meaning of each. So we have two exercises here to give your students. Number one, you can ask them to elicit the meaning through suffixes. So the word gate is not anymore a stem, it's a suffix. Exercise number two, you can also make a list of gate scandals and controversies. So you don't have to ask them for the translations of these words, but you can also make them elicit the information behind these expressions. Like, for example, I do remember Watergate. Watergate was the scandal of American President Richard Nixon in the 70s of the last century. So when you give your students an exercise like this, they gain information, they gain new words, and they gain new translations. So it's not only about translation; it's about gaining new information and expressions from the very same word. Actually, another exercise that's very important when you turn the word, when you turn a stem into another expression. Actually, it's this time you are adding a word before the stem, or even after it. But actually, this exercise is very important in order to give your student a lot of meanings from only one word, from only one example. For example, here we have a word like money. All of us actually know what the word money means in Arabic. It means فلوس, مال, أي حاجة. However, when you put like key money, so we have a stem and stems. So we have two stems here, key and money, key and money. So what about blood money, hot money, earnest money, funny money, pocket money, dirty money, and hush money? Actually, we have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, another eight words in order to add to your bank of vocabulary. This is very important in order to make your students elicit the meaning of these suffixes, of these stems, of these different compounds. Actually, this can also be an exercise on the use of collocations in translations between Arabic and English. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, so don't send questions on private. You can send them on the public. Thank you so much. So you can give your students actually two exercises here. Number one, you can make them elicit the meaning through suffixes. So you can use the word money as a suffix or as a stem. Number two, this is a very important exercise. You are indulging your students into the translation process itself. So you want them to translate it into Arabic, and to bring the definition of every single compound or maybe phrasal verbs, maybe collocations, whatever you want in your class. So, modern creative strategies. So, when Bindle talking about old and archaic schools of teaching, translation, and interpreting any bilingual course that you are teaching. Number one, you also need to send your assignments up front. This is usually the old school and will keep remaining in the sorry, keep remaining in the modern creative strategy. So this is very important in order to create or to open WhatsApp groups in order to add your own students. So before appearing before them, before your first class, you need to send assignments. You need to send something to prepare upfront. So this is another changing strategy. Number two, asking for information, not translation. So I'm not giving translations from the first time. It's not like take this word, I want its translation. This take this sentence, take this passage, and translate it into Arabic or to English, whatever that you want to translate. It's not like that. You want to then make them elicit information instead of translation. So because they're not being able to translate something that they don't understand, which is very important. Okay. So number three, this is moving forward into the translation process itself. Now you are eliciting the vocabulary meaning from a monolingual dictionary. Actually, we need to stop using bilingual dictionaries, which is my next point, by the way. But this is very important. You want them to elicit the meaning from the English definition of the word. For example, actually, if we got back here like an expression like blood money, so you give them a dictionary, an English dictionary, a bilingual dictionary, sorry, a monolingual dictionary, and you want them to actually guess the meaning of blood money, and then they can also elicit the translation, the Arabic translation of that expression. So this is very important. So first looking for the meaning and then looking for the translation. Finally, compiling glossaries and vocabulary banks. Actually, you are teaching them maybe hundreds, thousands of words, what they are going to do with these big amounts of words and compounds, phrasal verbs, collocations, whatever they are learning from you. Actually, it's a very important, it's very pivotal strategy to compile glossaries, maybe in science, maybe psychology, chemistry, physics, biology, politics, journalism, whatever you are teaching, or the different registers and different levels of language you are giving them in your classes. So as long as you are keeping moving in your classroom, you want them to compile glossaries and maybe somehow bilingual lists of translations of these vocab that they are learning every lecture. Uh, Now let's move to this is a very important point, by the way, teaching through receptive and productive skills. It's very important to know that in translation and interpreting, you are using the same strategies, the same skills. So, but it differs from a translation and interpreting class. Actually, in the receptive um, classroom, you are using skills like listening, reading. But actually, when you teach translation, you are depending on both receptive and also productive skills. Let me admit some attendance. Yes, actually, you're welcome. Thank you. So when you teach translation, it's like translation. You are reading and writing, so you have receptive and productive. And also when you're teaching interpreting, you can listen and speak. So it's listening and speaking at the same time. So you don't have just a receptive classroom. You don't have just a reproductive skills classroom in any bilingual classroom. So how should one teach translation and interpreting through the use of uh, receptive and productive skills in your classrooms? Actually, you need to know what your students and their levels of language and there are a lot of methods in order to know how to understand their English level and also in Arabic. But it's very important to start with the English because it's a second language for them. Arabic can be actually dealt with later because we are native speakers of Arabic. So actually, our Arabic can be can be actually postponed somehow, but to focus on English well. Actually, when you go into a translation or an interpreting classroom, actually, I want your English level to be between intermediate and upper intermediate. This is you released, so you are between B1 and B2. So actually, B2A or B2B actually is very good here. So if you are my student, I'd ask you to have a placement test first in order to be admitted in my classroom. But actually, this doesn't happen in our universities. This doesn't happen in our academic institutions because we don't have time and we don't have these actually standardized American university or other institutions. So if you want to be admitted into any translation or interpreting classroom, you need first to have a placement test in English. And it's expected from you to be between B1 and B2, between intermediate and upper intermediate. If you are there, so welcome to our classrooms. If you are somehow below than B1, you need to have it for like 1 month and a half, an English course, and then you can be admitted in any translation or bilingual classroom after that. This is according to the CEFR. It's very important to know your level right now. Actually, we have a lot of free exams. Actually, you can also go to any university and get yourself placed on a test, and then you will know your English level well in order to be admitted in any bilingual course. But what does it mean to be intermediate, and what does it mean to be an intermediate? Actually, if you are intermediate, this is a skill which is enough to have you admitted in any bilingual course. But actually, learners here, when they achieve B1 intermediate level, which is the least, by the way, they can understand information about familiar topics, maybe science, maybe marine time, maybe, for example, a library, maybe psychology, chemistry, physics, whatever you want. So they can communicate either in most situations while traveling in an English very important. Our in Egyptian universities they don't speak all English all the time as we used to do, but actually you will have a space to speak some Arabic and then some English. Actually, this is usual because you are teaching bilingual, and it's called bilingual for a reason. So you have two languages, so you can guarantee that they can speak well, and also they can understand you in English or in Arabic. They can also write simple connected texts on the familiar topics, which is very important for any translation. I'm talking about translation here for any translation classroom. This is very important. Actually, the utmost level that we want in our classroom is the upper intermediate. And actually, here you can understand the main ideas of a complex text. I can bring you a complex text about a historical figure, a historical event, a lot of figures, a lot of numbers, and certain details that are somehow complex or complicated. Actually, you can understand if you are upper intermediate. Your students also can interact with some fluency and communicate easily. Actually, when you teach intermediate, this will be a very handy because you want them to discuss with each other certain topics using listening speaking skills. This will be very handy. They also can write clear detailed texts. This is about translation classrooms, detailed texts on a wide range of topics and express their opinions. So one of the main exercises in translation is that I give my students a passage to write on a certain topic, and then they can they translate their own writing from one language to another. So it's either Arabic or English in our bilingual classrooms. Um, Actually, there are two strategies that we use in our classrooms. Number one, teaching through introductive skills, and this is very important. It makes difference. We need to make difference between introductive and productive skills. Actually, introductive skills that both receptive and productive skills in our translation and interpreting classrooms through the following steps. Number one, you need to assess your students' ability first. Yes, we need to have a lot of placement tests in our universities and academic institutions. Number two, partner reading. Yes, you don't have any. any individual reading in your classroom if you are teaching any bilingual course. Yes, please don't give them any individual reading exercises. This is very boring and very archaic. So you have pairs, you have maybe a group that is reading the same subject and answering the same questions. Eliciting information and text background from the statement, sentence, or from researching on the text itself. Assigning vocabulary. Some of them, يعني, for example, you can assign one person or one member of that group to have a list or to make a list of vocabulary and then to share it with their peers. And finally, assign vocabulary translation. So one is listing and one is translating these vocabulary, and then they share uh, uh, these lists with other students, with their peers actually. Receptive skills. This is very important if you are um, teaching translation and interpreting in the same classroom. Actually, it's not usual in our universities and academic institutions to have one course for each. However, if one time you have to actually, you also need to assess your student ability first, and then you can make groups in order to assign some of them to write, assign them to some of them to write statement sentences, and then writing the whole text. Certain people who have just higher levels in English writing, and finally you can assign some of them to review and proofread what other peers and what other colleagues wrote and, um, on their papers. I'm still admitting people here. Okay, thank you. But what happens actually in interpreting classes? Yes, actually we can get back to our introductive skills when we can merge between productive and receptive skills. Number one, also you can assess your student ability first. This happens in the very first session when you can just give them a placement test. For example, I have an example here. I can write it here in the chat box, which is EFSAT. EFSAT is one of the most important tests. Let me write it here. Yes, EF set. It's for free. It's for free. You can just write EF Google and just that you can just go there. And actually, it's very important for you to do this and to know that it's only listening and reading. So one receptive skill is which is listening, and another receptive skill which is reading. And why they are focusing on only receptive skills, not like writing and speaking, because they want to start from scratch with you. So actually you will have this over in your classrooms in the very first day. So assess their linguistic abilities first. This is very important, and then they can get back to you with their scores, and then you can give them feedback. Also, you can use partner listening. They can speak. You can assign teams. You can give them topics in order to make only one person speak, and then make other students listen to them, and then asking them questions. You can also give them some audio files to elicit information from. Also, vocabulary listing. It's like the translation class when you assign some students to make lists of vocabulary, and then other students to translate these lists from one language to another. So it doesn't have to be English all the time. It can be English, Arabic, Arabic, English. So you can also give them audios in Arabic. So you can actually imagine that you have a podcast in Arabic, and then they can listen to it, elicit information, and then they put them some words that they expect that they don't know the meaning of or the translation of, and then certain students can actually translate these words from Arabic into English. This gives us a deeper background on how to teach interpreting through receptive skills. Actually, this is very pivotal. You can use group speaking. They can speak to each other. So some of them are speaking, some of them are listening, and those who are listening, they can be speaking after a while. You can also this is what we call role play speaking. So I'm once speaking, and then after a few minutes I can be a listener. Finally, you can also assign chunking interpreting teams. This will be handy in consecutive and simultaneous interpreting classrooms. When you chunk certain audio files, you can chunk certain YouTube videos in order to make them um, listen carefully, do shadowing, do parroting in order to move their listening and speaking skills forward. For example, I have this very important exercise, and I have a lot of audio files. By the way, I'll give them, give you a link of them by the end of this classroom. Um, Audio files. They are talking about fruits, vegetables, sports, whatever they want, but in a very chunked audios like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So you can chunk every single audio into only 5 seconds. So and keep listening to this audio 5 seconds, 5 seconds. So I can train myself on two main skills. Number one, shadowing. I keep repeating what I'm listening to, and then I can translate it from one language to another, whether it's in English or in Arabic. So you have two skills here in hand. Uh, Moving forward through teaching through technology, and this is the funniest thing about our classroom tonight. You can use technology to teach any bilingual classroom. Actually, technology is very handy here, but through the use of technology and AI, you can actually, I really blame my own professors and instructors that they didn't give us any background on how to use technology to elicit the meaning of a word or an expression. Just like a paper dictionary, you can just move to El Mawrid or to Elias, to any dictionary that you can bring the word from, and then you can memorize بيبول يعني ناس, بيبول يعني ناس, man يعني راجل. However, this is a very boring strategy, and by the way, at the same في اليوم نفسه, in the same very day, you can just forget what you just memorized. Actually, this is a very bad strategy. People, technology is evolving. Number one, you can depend on from the right side from you can depend on monolingual decks. You can use monolingual dictionaries like one look Gillespie. I have a very long list here. You can also move to a bilingual dictionary, and then you can also use applications. Actually, you didn't open a paper dictionary, and I know a lot of my students who came to me after classes, doctor, can we use this El Mawrid dictionary, which actually in paper? So I tell them you can use it this year, you can use it next year, third year, fourth year. But what happens after that? So it becomes archaic, it becomes old, it's not updated. But actually, an electronic dictionary is very important because it's updated every single minute. Every single minute you can log into this dictionary and you can find new vocab over there. So actually, you can give your students links in applications, files to make them look for expressions, phrases, codes, whatever you want on these dictionary. But it's not like only words and something like that. It's we have also abbreviations and acronyms. In one class, I was just working on abbreviations and acronyms through the use of UN term, the United Nations terminology website, acronym finder. So it was a whole class for like 2 hours. We were looking and eliciting abbreviations without even looking for them in dictionaries or websites. Actually, also translating codes is very important in our business. So when you get this code, you don't know who said it. It looks like a code, but you don't know who the speaker was. So you don't know when it's said. So you can look for them on these websites. It's very important to look for them on certain verified websites. And finally, slang. If you're translating an audiovisual file, a TV series, a movie or documentary, or whatever you want, it's using uh, maybe substandard, maybe even suburban languages. So you can have a lot of expressions that you will not have their meaning from traditional or conventional dictionaries. So you can look for them on Urban, Dare, Wordsmith, or Lingui. So till now, No paper, only technology, only websites, only applications. But actually, it's we now can depend on AI, on artificial intelligence. And I always tell my students that we can use technology but wisely. So it's not like putting the whole text, like what happens here, putting the whole text on DeepL or Google Translate or whatever the website or the application that I'm using. It's not like that because we have still have problems. It's still we need the MTPE, which is machine translation post editing. So you can get the text from the application itself, and then you can put your own human touch on it. So actually, this is a very dangerous process. I always advise my students to put only a phrase, only a sentence, only a word, only a compound, a collocation in order to look for the meaning of. However, when you put the whole text, you will have problems. We're talking about some disruptive translations here. We're talking about some literal translations, and even in a single simple text, still a lot of mistakes that you can easily spot. So this is the difference between DeepL, Microsoft Bing, and also ChatGPT. Actually, one exercise is to give them only one passage to put it on the three applications, and actually they are for free, all of them. And then you can make them to compare between the three translations and choose which is better and why it's better. So this is a very good strategy in order to make them not only criticize translation, modify translation, humanize translation, but also to know what makes or what distinguishes one translation to another. So they are not actually, they are translating actually, they are just reviewing or proofreading. But then you can move forward into changing their mentality from the archaic translations into the machine translations and moving from actually translating through your hands, through yourself into MTPE, which is machine translation post editing. So this is a very nice strategy to follow. Actually, this is my own business. This is DeepL, Microsoft Bing, and finally ChatGPT. I was talking to ChatGPT, and it gave me a very good translation, by the way. But actually, it can be criticized, it can be humanized as well. So when you finish translating a text, you can also humanize it, proofreading, review it, and then to deliver it to your professor or instructor. Actually, these are examples of certain applications you can use to make your students translate certain texts, and then they can compare between these applications. For example, if you can assign them a text on copy.ai, on Gemini, on Sonics, and then you can ask them to compare between the three translation, which is better, which is worse, and why. Okay, so they can bring you elements. So it's not like translating all the time. It's like criticizing and know how to develop their mentality. Interpreting is very important to know that we are not only sitting in booth in order to give translations, in order to give interpreting in national and multinational conferences. You can also put yourself in an electronic booth, and actually all of these applications are for free. Applu, Acadu, Quaqua, and whatever the application you're using, you can just sit in your home, in your office, open these applications for free, and then you are inside a booth, inside a real booth, unless it's electronic. Okay, so you are here interpreting, listening to interpreters, chatting with interpreters. You are sitting in a real life, it's a real time booth without spending a penny on it. Okay, let's move forward into teaching lexicography, which is very important actually. When you're teaching bilingual courses, you need to teach vocab, lexicography. You want them to make glossaries, dictionaries in order to memorize these words, in order to broaden their mentalities about words and expressions. So we don't have to look for these words every single time. I don't make my students look for the same words every single time because they have to memorize and they also have to look for them. But it's very important here to know that I made this a chart through my students. So I asked, I have the actual number here, like, yes, I have like, yes, 301 students from Cairo University and also Egyptian Russian University. I asked them what kind of dictionaries and glossaries they are using in their assignments, quizzes, or whatever they are translating. And actually, it was shocking to know that the majority of them are using still using translation engines. I'm not talking about applications. I'm not talking about electronic applications or electronic dictionaries. They are using Google Translate. So the majority of them are using translation engines. Still, they are also using glossaries, but electronic, like El Maani, like Wordsmith, like UN Term. These are glossaries that are specialized in certain topics. So it's like 85% are using glossaries, which is actually positive. Um, After that, they are using online dictionaries. Online dictionaries actually can be a positive point and can be a negative point as well, because we have a lot of dictionaries that are not verified, that are not accurate enough to give you the sound translation of the words. They are also using pocket dictionaries, and actually, this was shocking to me because 65% of them are using pocket dictionaries. And pocket dictionaries, you can, I don't even have a I don't have a bucket dictionary uh, since I was a student in the university 14 years ago, and I find like 65% of them still having pocket dictionaries because they have money, and then they go to the library, they just get dictionaries, a pocket dictionary, and actually it can be updated. It can get archaic after 5 years, 10 years, and then you can throw it away. What was more shocking is that they are still using uh, bilingual dictionaries. So the least percentage here was the using my monolingual dictionaries. So when I asked them why are not using monolingual dictionaries, they tell me that it's difficult to use. It's like I'm looking for the Arabic word, and the monolingual dictionary doesn't give me the Arabic word. And then it's our rule here to make them illicit the words, not like wow, I got this Arabic word and then I memorized it. You need to move your bones, you need to use some cells from your mind in order to look for the words, and then you can elicit their Arabic translation from their own definition. So we need to raise awareness about using monolingual dictionaries more in our universities and academic institutions. I have here some very interesting methods in order to make your students more interested in compiling dictionaries and glossaries. Number one, compiling glossaries in order to provoke a feeling of positive entitlement and intellectual property with their names labeled. And every single semester, when I teach a bilingual course, I make my students compile a glossary, and then I put my name on it, of course, because I'm the instructor himself. But their names are included. Their names, and they are like from 16 years old to like 21. They're still young. They're still I don't know. They're like 14 years younger than me, but when they find their names, they don't have experience, they don't have any kind of expertise, and when they find their names on the glossary and it's a PDF file, they feel like proud of themselves. They feel like they have, yes, we have intellectual property, we made something good. Okay, so it provokes them to compile glossaries, and one project of mine was the glossary of terms concerning the Israeli aggression on Gaza. Um, it was the last semester in Cairo University, and I really salute my students who managed to put like 300 pages of effort on this. Compiling literary devices like similes, metonymies, metaphors, puns, and alliterations in Arabic and in English, and their examples from Arabic poetry and from English speaking poetry. And it's very important to make lists like bilingual texts. This is a pun, and I have an example on pun in Arabic poetry and English poetry, similes, metonymies, whatever they have, because this will also actually change their mentality about using literary devices. Finally, compiling model translations. Yes, I'm talking about all texts translated from one language to another, and they can make two tables of two columns, and then they can compare between English and Arabic, then a row, and then a separator, for example, and then another text from Arabic to English or vice versa in order to compare between them. And also this will be a reference in order to make them refer back to. Finally, a little tip to finish this. Um, if you're teaching a bilingual course, if you're teaching a translation, interpreting, lexicography class, actually you'll need a rubric in order to assess your own students how they are translating, how they are interpreting their text. So actually a very useful rubric here is very important in order to measure how your students are how to what extent they are fluent, and what about their logical cohesion, sense consistency, completeness of the text and the meaning itself, grammar, which is very important, by the way. A lot of my students need to focus on this, terminology, which is the essence of translation, and finally style. So you can compile these rubrics together, and every single class you can use them in order to by the end of the semester you can find a matrix on how your students achieved their academic development. Uh, Finally, I'm ending this presentation right now, but actually you can scan this QR code below in order to get some rubrics on how to evaluate and assess the academic development and achievement of your students in any bilingual class. So you can find this one here, but there are dozens of there are dozens of quizzes and rubrics on this link on Google Drive. By the way, they are PDF files, Word files, and also PNG and JPG files, pictures and images. You can download easily from this QR code. It's easy. I'm gonna leave this here in order to make you scan it, so you can download. It's open. It's an open access link. You can actually download everything from here. And by the way, I'm keeping updating them, so you can just have this link on your notes, on your Telegram, or whatever you want. Scan it, and then you can save the link, and then you can revisit. Maybe every single day. I'm having a lot of material to upload on this folder. So actually, I'd like to thank Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim and Mrs. Maha for having me over. Actually, it wasn't too long, I know, but actually, I really enjoyed having you over and um, actually presenting this for the first time. I know it's difficult
حضرتك
and I
والله
know it's
نورتنا
somehow
النهارده.
complex, but actually you can find yourself in any bilingual course any day. But this is the way that we want to develop our profession through. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, I'm here. Thank you.
حضرتك والله نورتنا جدا النهارده، وعقبال كل سنه باذن الله.
العفو، تسلمي لي، شكرا جزيلا. شباب، الكيو ار كود موجود هنا. ابعت لكم اللينك مباشرة. طيب خلاص، انا هقفل الشير، هجيب لكم بس اللينك واحطه بس على ثواني، او على جوجل درايف. يا رب الجهاز بس ما يكونش مهنج. تمام. اوكي، this is the جوجل درايف. وعلى فكرة يعني انا بعمل له ابديت كل شوية زي ما قلت لكم. فثواني كده قبل ما نقفل بس اجيب لكم اللينك من الفولدر. ادي الفولدر اهو. تمام، عاش.
حضرتك لو عايز برضو تبعت حاجه ابعتها لي على الخاص، وانا احطها في جروب التليجرام ده اللي هم عليه كل الناس.
actually yes تمام، مفيش مشكله. الجهاز معلق شويه، معلش انا غلطان والله العظيم ان انا جبت اللاب ده. هو بس معلق شويه، فهبعت لحضرتك او ثواني. خلاص هو براءه اهو، انا ظلمته يا عيني. انا كده عملت كوبي، هجيبه لحضراتكم دلوقتي واسيبه هنا في تمام. اللينك موجود اهو. في حد سبقني والله، الله ينور. شكرا جدا استاذه سمر ان انت بعت اللينك برضه. فده اللينك ممكن تدخل عليه كل شويه تلاقي فيه ماتيريال موجوده عن teaching bilingual courses، وهتلاقوا عليه حاجات كتير جدا. انا مش هسيبه فاضي. بس كده. شكرا جدا ليكم ان انتوا سمعتوني النهارده وصدعتكم، انا عارف، بس انا very enthusiastic to this. يعني انا بحب قوي ان انا اتكلم في الموضوع ده اكتر، لان مفيش ريفرنس، مفيش حد بيتكلم فيه كتير، مفيش حد بيساعد، مفيش حد بيتكلم عن المشكلات، لانه اصلا مش عارف ان في مشكله. لا، هو في مشكله كبيره جدا. فاحنا محتاجين نحرك الدنيا لقدام شويه، وان شاء الله يعني الدنيا تبقى احسن. بتمنى ناس كتير يعني تعمل ده بعد كده باذن الله، مش انا بس اللي اتكلم فيها يعني. فشكرا، واتمنى تكونوا اتبسطتوا. and if you have any
شكرا
questions.
لحضرتك.
thank you so much. العفو، تحت امرك. سلامي لمستر محمد ابراهيم، كان نفسي يكون موجود والله. و بس
يوصل ان
نلتقي
شاء الله.
جميعا، اهم حاجه ان هو يدعي لي بس.
ان شاء الله قلت له.
تمام، 100 100، اهم حاجه بالنسبه لي والله.
ان شاء الله.
شكرا شكرا
ان
شكرا
شاء
شكرا
الله
جدا،
ربنا يتقبل.
ونشوفكم
انا
على
حابه يا
خير
جماعه
دايما
ان
باذن
شاء الله بكره ان شاء الله معانا ليله رمضانيه جديده مع مستر محمد خلف. يعني اكيد عارفين مستر محمد كينج السلته. فان شاء الله يعني ده انتوا المفروض تحجزوا مكانكم دلوقتي يعني، فمنتظرينكم بكره ان شاء الله. 11 مصر، 12 السعوديه. ونشوفكم على خير، وكل سنه وانتم طيبين وتصبحوا على خير.
الله. تصبحوا على خير، مع الف سلامه.